Hey, it's V with 85th and Wade. Thanks for joining me. Now, in this episode, we are doing a clash of the coveralls, a comparison of the coveralls. We're just going to look at two different coveralls that I made recently or semi recently, talk about the pros and perhaps some cons of them, and give you my overview of the experience. So, the two coveralls that we are covering, you like that? Is our Ready to Sew Jean Paul coveralls, as well as Kwik Sew, which is now defunct, but Kwik Sew K3389. So they are two very different coveralls. One is for a female figure, the other is for a male or unisex figure. And so a lot of the features are with those types of bodies, or perhaps traditional, I've used air quotes for traditional functions within those, what you're doing in those coveralls. And so wanted to kind of go through those two, compare them, let you know what I thought, and then perhaps even what you could make here currently. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the Jean Paul coveralls first. Not because it was my favorite, but because it was my favorite. Yes, it was. So I was really excited when I first saw these coveralls. I forget who I first saw them with. It may have been Sarah from Naughty Gnome Crafts, who had talked about them first. I forget. But it was a coveralls another YouTuber had mentioned, and it was like, ooh, I like the look of that. I don't think, heard of that company before. And so I wanted to get out and see about getting this made up. So like I said, I did enjoy it. It was my favorite of the two. So to give you a little background on the coverall, and then I'll grab it and show you some of the things as well. This is designed for a B cup, so and a person who's 5'5". So pretty much right in line with my measurements, or my I guess measurements in terms of height and cups or whatever. So very happy about that. As far as the actual measurements, so this unfortunately was in centimeters, so I don't have the inches equivalent, but you can do the Google, which is for the full bust, it goes from a 43 to a 32 centimeters. And for the hip, it goes from 111 to 82 centimeters. And then it has, I'd say it's at 8 to 10 inches of ease in there. So, again, after you do the equivalent of what is inches, then you can kind of tack on what those, what that ease would be for you. Now, I will say, I believe I was at the very top of the pattern size. So if you're larger than me, which I think I'm like a 42, maybe 42 bust, 35 waist, 44 hip in inches. So, again, at the very top of that. So if you're a little larger than that, you may have to do some grading if that's your jam. If you're smaller than that, of course, you'd be okay. If you're right there around where I am, you may either want to grade up or play around with your seam allowances. So there are some options there, I think, for just about everyone who's around my size and lower. Okay. As far as fabric content, this is for woven fabric. So your denims, your twill, your poplin, your chino. As far as fabric amounts, it's a long sleeve and a short sleeve version. So for 55 inches, you'll use anywhere from 2 3/4 yard to 3 1/4 yard. So not very much there. It does have interfacing, but just a little bit. You'll need 7 to 10 buttons or snaps. And then it has 17 pieces, 66 unique steps. And then as far as the instructions, there's about 42 pages of instructions with pictures. It comes in 3 different languages. And it comes in A0, A4, as well as letter size for you to print out. Obviously, it's a PDF, or at least that's what I have. I don't know if they have paper, but I used a PDF version. I did go in order as far as the instructions go because I just took my time, wanted to make sure I did everything correctly, so I didn't veer there. And I did modify it just a bit, and that was, instead of buttons, I used snaps all the way down. So that's an option as well. And then for a rating, this I would say, or maybe they said, is an intermediate to advanced, and I do agree with that just because of the number of steps. And, like a collar, putting a waistband together, and a few other things. So I would definitely say I agree with that intermediate to advanced. And then I give this pattern a 5 out of 5. So let me grab the pattern. So this is the fabric that I used for the pattern. I actually have my little fabric reminder of what I used, or what I bought. So this fabric came from Joann Fabrics. It's in their Pop collection. It's called Bee Embroidered Chambray Fabric. It comes in 43 inches, which is important. It has 100% cotton with embroidery. That's 100% polyester. And then I bought 5 yards. It was $4.49 a yard because it was, I think, clearance or last chance, something like that. So in total, it was $22.46. And it normally was $14.99 a yard. So, saved a great deal there in terms of finding it on clearance or last chance. Now, I will say that it is a last chance fabric now, so you probably may not be able to find it. You probably won't be able to find it online, I don't think. And then it'll be very limited in stores. However, there's 2 different versions of this. Like I said, this is the bee version, the little bumblebees there. They do have a sailboat version that I do still see in the store, so that could be an option for you as well. Now, I do like this fabric. It's chambray, so it's pretty light, but it's substantial enough to feel like you actually have on clothes all the way through. I do like the little bumblebees. I think those were cute. Perfect for a coverall, because a coverall, if you're wearing it for fashion, maybe not function, even for function, I guess too, you just want to have a good time in it. You want to feel great. So I really like this. I think it has a great design features. Like here you have a yoke, but you have a flap on the back that goes all the way through the front of the garment. You do, like I say, have button down, but I did snaps all the way down the front of it. You do have pockets here, which are pretty big, some big pockets at the bust, as well as you have side seam pockets, and then you have back pockets. Now, the one thing that I did not do on here that they, give you as an option is a martingale, so I did not put that on there. And that helps to kind of cinch it in. So if you wanted a more fitted look, that martingale will help do that, but I just wanted to just sew this up and have that more boxy, traditional coverall feel. For the sleeves at the very end, you have a cuff, which you can fold up if you like, or keep it down. It does have just a small pleat there at the bottom of it, so it gives another design feature. I like the cuff too, because there you're not dealing with twin needles or trying to fold over a small hem. You're just adding that cuff and pressing that over, so that looks very good. And then as far as the last 2 things I'll say, well, I do like the pockets. Like I said, pretty good pockets here, as more patch pockets, I should say, not side seam, but patch pockets. The waistband, you actually have a waistband that attaches the bodice and the pants so they don't touch. The waistband helps to do that. I do like that feature of it. It gives it just a little bit more length to the garment as well, so you can fold up the leg cuffs if it was too long for you, or again, just another look that you want to go for. And then everything I'd say outside of this bottom here waistband that I'm sure I need to finish off at some point, but I've not done that yet. I'd say I like the construction of it. Everything is pretty clean. The collar came out, for me, exceptionally well. I've had, you know, some hits, more misses on collars than anything. So I was really proud of what my collar came out, and they walk you step by step through that. So all in all, really like this coverall. Okay, so the other coverall that I made was the Kwik Sew 3389. And for this one, I'll say it was really good as well. So let me give you some background on this. It comes in a extra, extra large to a small. So that's a chest of 52 to 34, and these are in inches, and hips of 53 to 35. Woven fabric again, so just like the Jean Paul, you have your twill, your denim, your chino. For fabric amount, you'll need anywhere from 6 yards at the max to 3.5 yards at a minimum. And that's because you can do this in both the 45-inch as well as the 60-inch, which is really important, as I mentioned, with the Jean Paul, because a lot of quilting cotton will come, or other cottons, I should say, will come in 43, 44 inches, not necessarily 45 inches. And so when it's less than 45, many times you'll have to use more than what the pattern calls for, because those 1.5, 2 inches really, really, really make a difference in terms of as you're laying things out, if you're able to get your entire pattern pieces, especially when they're kind of stacked one on top of the other, onto the fabric, or you'll have to just shift it and then of course use more fabric. So bear that in mind. If you can find 45, maybe eking out 44. If you're in the larger sizes of a pattern, you may be able to get away with it, but you might not. So just keep that in mind. You try to stick to 45 when at all possible. So in terms of interfacing, yes, you'll need some interfacing, but it's really just this front piece here, the facing, that you'll need that for. So not a really big deal with that. It calls for a snap and a zipper for this one. You have 14 pattern pieces, 26 steps. And these are unique steps. So if it says repeat something, I really don't count that. I just say 26 unique steps. So it may be more than that. But as far as unique steps, it's 26. I'd say the instructions were pretty straightforward. I did them mostly in order. I think I did the pockets out of order just because I like to do pockets and get them over with. So I did everything to the pockets first and then continued on. I did modify this one just a bit, and so instead, again, of putting in a zipper, I chose to just put in snaps. So I just have snaps running all the way down instead of a zipper, which worked out fine for this one because the zipper, I think, would have been like a hidden zipper, or not invisible, but just hidden, because the flap would have gone over it, I want to say, on the envelope cover. So it was just a matter of making sure I placed the buttons enough far apart to where there wouldn't be a lot of gapping or gaping in between. And then just over enough so that, you know, the flaps wouldn't flap over. It would be close to the center edge. So that was the only modification I did on this one. And then as far as a rating, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. The only reason why I give it a 4 out of 5 and not a 5 is because in a lot of areas you know, you have raw edges or raw seams, and so that's gonna, over time, especially if you're wearing this, if this is like for a work uniform and you're constantly laundering it, it's gonna get pretty frayed there after a couple of washes, and you can kind of see now that there's some fraying there already. So just bear that in mind, that you want to, even though the instructions don't tell you to, but you want to go ahead and you know, finish your seams as much as possible. But I do like this one, so I made the short sleeve version. It does have pockets here at the top. Like I said, I just use snaps all the way down. It has that, you know, waistband that connects the bottoms to the bodice. This one does have side seam pockets, and they are very, very deep there. Okay, Um, two things I want to jump in here and say that I forgot to mention in the original filming about the Kwik Sew 3389. So I was going over the features and I forgot two important things. So I'll start with the first one, and that's here in the back. There are actually darts in the back. So you have two here at the top. I know this is black, so it's going to be a little hard to see, but you have two darts here at the top. So one on the left and one on the right. And then it also has a dart at the waistband. So again, at the left, hopefully you can see that, and at the right. And the reason why I mention that is because I think it's pretty good in terms of having some extra fabric there. So as you're moving and stretching around, that fabric will give or have space to give a little bit without being too tight. So that's feature number one. Now, the second feature, which is a very new to me feature, was the actual pocket. So I mentioned that they have side seam pockets, but what I failed to mention is that it also has a little secret opening here. So here's the actual pocket where, you know, you can toss anything in, and I'm seeing so many little threads on there now, but you know, a regular side seam pocket. But then it also has this second opening here. This actually goes all the way through the garment. So as you see, I'm putting my hand in here and I can come all the way around to the buttons. This is because as a coverall, normally you would have still some jeans or some type of bottoms in there underneath it. And so as you're putting your hand in that second opening, it actually gives you the option to get to your pants or your jeans pocket. So there is another name that some ladies have given to this little opening. I won't say what that is here on this channel, but you can Google it and check it out for yourselves. But I thought this was a second feature that I'm like, I must tell you guys about. So you have your pocket, but then you also have this little access panel, if you will, to get to whatever more secure pockets you have underneath. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled programming. It does have back pockets as well, so those are pretty good. It has a yoke in the back, so it doesn't have the flap like the other one, but it does have the yoke as well. So I would say all in all, a pretty straightforward make. I did like both of them. As you'll see, hopefully I posted some pictures, or will do that now, of myself and my husband actually modeling these. And I'll say that I made him a large, or extra large. I know I should have gone one up, because while it fits him, So it doesn't give a lot, and he has very broad shoulders. So it doesn't give him a lot of wiggle room to get in and out comfortably. So I'll go up a size. Now, I did cut this, which means that Kwik Sew is no longer available, and I'll have to find a different coverall for him, because I'm not about that grading up life yet. So because Kwik Sew isn't available, there are two alternatives, 1.1 alternatives. So the Nomi Patterns 2012 pretty much is the same pattern, except they have done some gathering at the waist there, which you can just not do. Like, you don't have to put the elastic in, just don't put the elastic in, and it'll have that straight body look. And then I think there was one other thing that they did different that you can just omit or keep if you want to, but they're pretty much the same coverall. So if you don't have Kwik Sew, try ME2012. Then there's the other one, which is Simplicity 8722. Now, this is going to come with some visualization. So it's not quite the same coverall. It's more like a boiler suit, or I mean, it's in a costume pattern, but you know, you can modify things if you want to make it work. But it gives you at least the template of a coverall, and then you can add the pockets from any other garment that you have or pattern that you have, and actually put it together. So all in all, I would say I do like both of these. I like the way they turned out. I'll definitely make the Jean Paul again. And like I said, because I was at the very top of that, I'll see about wiggling around with the seam allowances. With the coveralls, I'll more than likely pick up the ME 2012 or even the Simplicity 8722. Make that again in a larger size for my husband to get in and out of a little bit better. But let me know, have you made coveralls? Are you thinking about it? The celebration of Overalls Day is October 25th, so you want to get connected to that. You'll have these two options there. Anywho, let me know what you think. Let me know if you've made coveralls before, if you have a different pattern for anyone to consider. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.